Five Finger Death Punch just dropped their latest album, AfterLife, and there was only one way to review it. It's the return of the Cringe Meter.
Oh my god!
Yeah, once more we're going to rank every track by cringe level, starting with Welcome to the Circus.
Welcome to the circus.
This big chugger of an opener kicks things off on the note you'd pretty much expect: super generic riffs complemented by some already cringe-tacular verses.
You gotta fuck somebody to know somebody. That motherfucker ain't me.
That's really just one of many. The chorus is ultimately fine and even kind of catchy musically, if a bit self-righteous lyrically.
Am I the only one that doesn't buy into the lies?
Overall on this one, pretty darn cringe, but there are definitely worse, so I'm gonna put this one actually at lame, corny. This is followed up by the title track, Afterlife, which is fine. Like, it's just bland and generic, albeit a little bit brain dead and kind of incoherent.
I've heard the rumors that the rumors are true.
I really don't have a lot to say about it, but it is maybe the closest thing on the album to just okay, so that's going at meh. Next up is Times Like These, and every time I see this title, it just makes me wish I was listening to the Foo Fighters song instead, because this one is really lame, overproduced, acoustic-driven butt rock.
Nights like this are a harvest moon. It came too fast and it's gone too soon.
It's like a worse version of all those country-tinged rock songs from the 2000s, from like Nickelback, Default, Three Doors Down, etc. The lyrics, unfortunately, are not overtly cringe in any entertaining way. They're mostly just, again, lame and entirely predictable. I'm putting this at generic butt rock tier. Then we have Roll Dem Bones, and that title already, like, it doesn't get better than that. The intro alone is already mad cringe.
This'll be the last tear I shed for you.
And on top of that, he really sounds like he's just trying to be Corey Taylor, which I know Ivan's explicitly stated that he's tired of those comparisons, but this sounds like a straight up lesser knockoff of the later Slipknot or Stone Sour tracks. Like, just listen to this chorus.
There was a time that I believed I could have changed it all.
I will say, at least it makes modern Slipknot sound way better. This one is definitely going all the way to the top. Cringe.
Cringe.
Pick Up Behind You is another boring, just sort of blah track. Not terrible, just not really noteworthy in any way, really, and that's unfortunately going to be a bit of a trend on this album.
I've forgotten how heavy you are. You're becoming so hard to hold on to.
There's actually plenty of butt rock out there that I do enjoy. This just doesn't happen to be one of those, and this one is also going at generic butt rock tier. Unfortunately, not even really funny bad. Speaking of which, we have Judgment Day. Now this one is the absolute goldmine that I was looking for. It opens with kind of a trap sounding 808, and then man, when that rapping starts.
Gotta watch for the shot, beware the ricochet. Dance, dance, motherfucker, till the fat bitch sings.
How embarrassing.
Ironically, it sounds like a much shittier version of like a Lil Nas track, which somehow I doubt there's a lot of crossover fans in this crowd. Another unremarkable chorus, but the verses are enough to land it pretty high, all the way at cringe. Another single here with IOU, which is another basically just throwaway kind of track. The lyrics are just absolute bottom of the barrel.
Is it better to serve in heaven or better to reign in?
Not the worst thing on here, but definitely a bad one. This one's going at lame, corny. Next up is Thanks for Asking, and the opening of this one reminds me of like a late 90s pop track. Remember when like Latin singers were suddenly all the rage? Except the difference is those tracks were fun. I'd welcome back Enrique and Mark Anthony in a second over this. It's just boring and filled with all sorts of, again, recycled gems like what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger.
Heaven or hell, I can't tell which is which.
Yeah, it's lame. Moving on. Blood and Tar. What a tough title that one has. Another very Stone Sour sounding track, maybe mixed with some later All That Remains. It's faster, but somehow still very dull. The lyrics also seem to be targeted at haters like me, so hi, I guess. The guitar solo is definitely the highlight, but then we get the corny spoken word immediately after that to ruin it as well.
When we remember, we're all mad.
Wouldn't want something actually good on this album. This one's going to Slipknot Stone Sour Light. All I Know is the big dramatic ballad, and I gotta say, to Ivan's credit, the singing is actually pretty solid. He's really not a terrible vocalist, but again, the songwriting is where it ends up being entirely generic. The passion is there, but it's just not in favor of anything interesting. You'd almost think the ballad would be the corniest thing on here, but it ends up just being meh. But speaking of great writing, we have Gold Gutter. Check out this incredible intro.
Oh, shit. You know what fucking time it is?
Mwah! Le piste de resistance. And as if that wasn't bad enough, there is also something so lame about the cadence of the harsh vocals on the verses that somehow makes the already terrible lyrics feel even more stupid. More bad lyrics, more uninspired riffing, not to mention one of the most low-energy breakdowns I've ever heard.
This is where you fucking scream. Bounce!
Like, how do you fuck that up? And then we come full circle with one of the best outros of all time.
That's what's up.
And then we end with another melodramatic stone sour acoustic song in the appropriately titled The End, and shit is so corny.
Truly, you must never listen to this.
I know, Werner. I'm never going to.
I'm struggling to find anything more here to say, but I think I've already exhausted what little analysis there is to squeeze out of this thing, so Stone Sour, Slipknot Light. So, summing things up, AfterLife is not a good album, but it's also not bad enough to be entertaining either. It's really just stuck in this dull middle ground. And while I'd argue that the cringe moments on the latest Motionless in White album are actually often more cringe than the ones on here, I still at least found that album to be much more entertaining with even a few solid tracks I can actually enjoy. This is just a big pile of nothing that I'll barely remember anything from a few days from now. Now, as always, it's totally fine if you enjoy this band or album. You are welcome here. Feel free to even let me know in the comments why you do. And to the angry stans that inevitably crawl out of the sewer and into the comments section, know that you've been baited, and the fact that you chose to click and engage says a whole lot more about you than it does about me. Talk about snowflakes. Check out this video for that cringe meter on the new Motionless in White, or this playlist for albums that I actually have been enjoying in 2022 so far. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.